Hi, I'm Tara, or some of you know me as Demon or Shot by Demon. I do videography, photography. I also advertise a lot of shows. I'm from Kitchener, Ontario. I have a couple side projects where I do vocals in a couple bands that we're just starting out. Some of my influences were my grandma Kay. She always supported me on doing like anything I wanted. I was like a little kid with an eyeliner drawing tattoos on her back because that's what I wanted to do. So she was very influencing on just allowing me to follow and chase my dreams. Same thing with like David Bowie. I'm a big fan of Bowie. I love him. He is very just be yourself and just eccentric, and you know, life's short and do that. As a vocalist, Ollie Sykes, when Bring Me the Horizon's first album came out, I was just like, that's what you can do? Okay. And then I started training vocally because I've done Kadai choir since I was in kindergarten. So like, yeah, I've done vocals for a while. I just never found anybody in Kitchener who wanted to do the type of music that I wanted to do.
Yep.
I have a mean pterodactyl screech, so people don't even know that. Yeah, so, but yeah, Ollie Sykes, that was my main vocal influence. Nice. And then like we got people like Will Ramos, who's just like a nice human being, and like the vocals, just extremely talented. I didn't have a choice when it came to music. My parents had me when they were young. So my mother used to tell me stories that like she'd be next to a speaker. They used to party a lot. You know, they were 19, and I'd be next to the speaker. There was another time when I was like 3 and they were partying, and I ran up to them, and it was super early in the morning or late depending on who you are, and I just went into them and I was like, you guys are too loud, turn up the music, turned around, went back to my room because all I wanted to hear was the music. So I used to listen to Guns N' Roses, Metallica, like I listened, you know, Michael Jackson was big then because I'm 87 baby, so I was into all of that. I didn't have a choice. I was discovering that. So when everybody, like Pantera, I was listening to A Bottle of Pills when I was 5 years old, singing the words and not knowing what it was about. So when everybody was in high school discovering like Metallica and stuff, I only knew one other friend who knew who Pantera and everybody was. And so we went into a record store, and so our discovery in grade 9 was Cannibal Corpse and 6 Feet Under. That was my high school dove into, and I remember she's like, I can't have, so I got Cannibal Corpse, she got 6 Feet Under, and we were going to swap so we could discover the new music. She's like, you have to keep 6 Feet Under at your place because if my mom sees it, she's going to flip out. My parents didn't care, but it was great. That was my like. And once I found that, I had one metal friend in Kitchener, and we used a program called SoulSeek.
I had that.
Yeah, and he would just send me, he's like, here's some new music, go check your folder. I sent you new music, so I'd wake up every morning because I have an unquenchable thirst. I'm subscribed to like 1,500 people on Spotify. Like, if I like your music, I'm just like, I want more of it. I can never get enough. So he dove into like Northern and a bunch of Finnish bands.
Nice.
and I would just go to concerts. So I didn't have a choice. Music was just made sense to me.
Awesome.
My first concert was Good Charlotte. I mean, I guess technically it was Sheriff Lois and Bram when I was a kid, but my first show was Good Charlotte. I went to Hamilton. It was grade 9. It was like 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, so me and my friend went with her uncle, and it was my only show I ever went to without a camera, and it was also the first show I crowd surfed. I went from the very back, and like two big dudes were like, hey, do you want up? Do you want up? And just like picking up everybody, just like chucking us at the people. So they chucked me up. I was like, fuck it, why not? Let's go. You're only a kid once, so I did it. It was the only time I ever crowd surfed as well.
And that was that Sharon, Lois, and Bram too.
That would be great, right? Yeah, no, it was Good Charlotte. It was good. Right after that, I was really hooked. I was done. I was like, live shows are where it's at. I started documenting. I would I went to a lot of local shows in Kitchener. Kitchener used to have a big screamo hardcore scene. Like I would document Throwdown. Like I occasionally will post nostalgic photos, and they're all from Kitchener. Shout out to a local band that doesn't exist anymore called Of the Firstborn Son. I still have their merch. They have songs called like You Can't Do a Two-Step in a Wheelchair. Yeah, like they're old screamo hardcore. And then that's where like I love hardcore. Like I've seen Throwdown and things like that. The amount of shows that I've seen, like Moeen, just I have a countless list. I've probably seen. I saw Every Time I Die open up for Atreyu.
Both those bands.
Yeah.
Film Every Time I Die all the time.
Yeah. And that was like they came out on Halloween with like costumes and stuff, and that was in high school too. For metal shows, I guess. Who would I say? I saw so many. I saw Children of Bodom. First one though would probably be him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I saw them. His Infernal Majesty.
Yeah,
Yeah. Billy Vallow. I even have a heartogram. Yeah. I'm that cheesy. I am the typical goth girl, but I love them, and like I got into like Bleeding Through from them when they opened up for them. It just spiraled. I have an unquenchable thirst for music and shows. There's a reason why I'm always at them. Some of my most memorable or favorite shows I have, honestly, is going to be very selfish and, plug Steel City. They're doing things right in the community. As somebody who's traveled to shoot hardcore shows in several different areas now, including the States, in several states, there's something special. And if you haven't been to a Steel City show, you should. Rep Steel City. They just some of my most memorable favorite moments, just like Buried Alive, that whole set, and actually even the last show, it was all local shows, and it was just one of the most powerful, like just the community.
Yeah.
The community itself is awesome. What other cool shows have I done or seen? Warped Tour. I went to 2 Warped Tours, 2003 and 2005 in Buffalo. That was super cool. There was just watching all those, meeting different people. I was in high school, so I got to see some of the craziest bands that you wouldn't even think. Like, I saw Atreyu, I saw Bullet for My Valentine, things like that. They would all play Transplants. Shooting Body Snatcher. They're funny. They're nice, really cool dudes. They're deathcore, so I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I love them. What else?
Ignore me, sorry.
No, it's okay. Lorna Shore.
Yes.
That was a special one for me. I got to, that show was in Detroit, it was in Detroit. It was like, and I drove down there. It was like a 6-hour drive. It was worth everything. I had all access. I got to be on stage shooting Body Snatcher. That was the second time I got to shoot them. And it was, I was worried that I was going to be super nervous because it was in front of like 2,000, 3,000 people. But once they started and I was on stage, nothing mattered but shooting them. I was just shooting them, and it was super cool. And then I got to film part of Lorna Shore at the end, and there was just this one part where, like in the one song where they in the song you just hear them say "fuck it," but and it's not like this big powerful thing. But watching it live and seeing that many people just scream "fuck it" all together was so powerful. Like, it was a really cool thing. And then I got to shoot Ghostbath, which is a black metal band. Not everybody's favorite music, but these guys are a little bit different. They're very sad, and which I guess that's what black metal is. But I know the guitarist, John. Hi, John. How are you? If you're watching this. And it was super cool to watch them just do what they do, because it's just so beautiful. It's like tragic and heartbreaking and beautiful. And it was super cool to watch and be foggy. It was like some of the hardest photos I have ever edited though, because there was so much fog. And I was just like, this is gonna be crap. But some of them turned out really cool, and they honestly worked out with their vibe really well. Other than that, just like, honestly, local shows.
Yeah.
Local shows are special. Okay, this is a hard question for me, because I have probably seen, now this is nothing in comparison to some people, but I know that I've seen over 1,000 performances, and that for the general public is a lot. So I've seen things like my friends KO'd, I've seen like the gnarliest things, I've seen people slide in on a table into a pit. I think one of my most, and I actually recently just posted because I was thinking about this question, is one of my favorite, they're from Nova Scotia, they're called Botfly. I saw them in a Kitchener House show in this tiniest basement ever, and they're like big dudes, and they're loud and heavy, and they're good. They fit in this weird genre because they're not really like metal or rock. They're not really hardcore, but they kind of are hardcore. The last time I saw them, because I've seen them many times, they called themselves Weird Guy Hardcore. I was filming them, and like I said, they're good buddies of mine, and their drummer Dwight, I just saw him talking to their bassist Sean. He just went, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. So I'm filming, and all of a sudden they get to the middle of the one song, and he just goes, da, 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 and he's already a crazy drummer, and he jumps over the drum kit, like, jumps right over, runs into this tiny basement apartment, like, the band's playing, and it's probably this size, but there's also a couch and a freezer, and, like, the water heaters, and so there's, like, 30 people down here, and the band's taking up half the room, and he just moshes and pushes everybody. You can see him push me, and then he runs, and he dives over the drum kit again, sets it up, continues, like, and they finished the song, and I was just like, that was super cool. Like, that is, and like Alice was there. Shout out Alice, great photographer and videographer. They were there, and it was a memorable moment. And I've seen some pretty crazy cool ones, and because I'm also just desensitized from like all the violence and things like that, just seeing that was probably
so much of it.
Yeah, it's desensitized. Like, I've shared videos and gotten them put on Not a Push Pit, which is shout out Not a Push Pit. Thank you for sharing so much of our Hamilton community. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see something that was not necessarily violent, but very memorable and so niche, because like I said, maybe 30 people got to see it. And that's why I document. Yeah. Another craziest thing that actually happened to me, not just being at a show, is I went to see All That Remains in Toronto shortly after getting out of high school. And I got in a fist fight with a guy who tried to rip me off the barricade because I was female-bodied, you know, no clit in the pit, even in metal. It's the worst. It's still happens to the day. So I like punched him and got him away from me, but there was the singer of Divine Heresy jumped down, and this was I think this was at the Opera House, and he comes up into the stage, like into the crowd, and he knees me right in the face and just like continues singing and stuff. And I look at my friend, I'm like, am I bleeding? They're like, no, you're good. I was just like, okay, lucky, because he's a big dude, big jacked muscular dude. I'm like, okay, this is great, but I literally thought I was gushing blood. Luckily I wasn't. And so after the show, All That Remains played and stuff, we went out to the merch area, and I had just turned the corner, and he had saw me, and he pushed everybody out of the way. He grabbed me and bear hugged me. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. One time I threw a mic stand at a girl, and I was just like, it's okay, dude. Like, you're good. Like, it's a story. Speaking of mic stands, shout out Reality Denied. I love them. That's cool. All That Remains. Okay. Speaking of mic stands. Our Andy from Reality Died at the last Steel City. He knocked over the mic stand, and like it hit me, and I had a swollen lip, and I was bleeding. I was like, "This is the coolest thing that's ever happened." And he's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Dude, no, it's okay. I got like a fat lip from documenting a show. How can I be mad?"
War wounds.
I have so many war wounds, and like
Yep.
It's just like a cool one. It's another one. Like my buddy, my friend threw a mic stand at the end of his set that I was filming. Like that's cool. That's a story. So my family always had cameras around, so I used to take photos all the time. In '98, I was in the 4th grade, and my family got the first digital camera. And so that was just like, I can take unlimited amount of photos, sick. So I just like went nuts. And like I used to document with film for shows. Like I said, I only ever been to one show where I didn't document. Otherwise, I've always had my camera out. In high school, I learned how to develop photos and film. I took photography in high school. So I know how to do film, photos, I know how to do it all the old analog stuff. I have an SLR film camera. I have actually a collection of old cameras. I love, they're moments in time. And you will never get that moment in time again.
Nope.
And it's beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. I actually have another photography account, and it's for like moments. It's just like perspective photography. It's weird, it's different, but it's just like different angles. Like for instance, I would like to be like, oh, this looks cool, and I'll take a photo of like the ceiling, and it's just different. And I just love taking photos. So there's that. And then in my early 20s, I got hit with really bad, debilitating migraines. So I didn't document shows for a long time. Other reasons why I didn't document shows too. But then COVID happened, and we weren't allowed to do any more shows. And I was just restarting my life again, and I went, my saving grace. I can't go to the place where I feel like sane. So as soon as they started back up again, I started finding local shows that I could go to. Shout out No Funeral, you started doing local shows in Kitchener again. So they were some of the first shows I started. That was 2021. I saw Cold Shoulder as well. I started posting on my personal for a while. So like I was documenting for like 21 to 22. And I got really upset because I'd post a selfie and people would like that, and then I'd post this really cool video of like Mike screaming at everybody from Cold Shoulder, and it'd get 6 likes, and I'd be like, that's not okay. So actually pretty much just over a year ago, June 11th of 2022, I started Shot by Demon. And I never looked back. I had a few anxieties. There were some times where I had a lot of anxiety, and like a few months where I didn't post anything. And now I'm trying to be completely self-absorbed in it and just posting mainly for the bands, for everybody to find shows to go to, for the community, just building up our community. Just like there's so many cool things here. Like there's cool big shows, but you can go see the big shows, but the small ones are, sometimes it's those ones that, like I said, like are better. The house shows or just like the local shows, they're sometimes the most fun, the most craziest, the most unique stories happen at local shows. So if you're not going to a local show, maybe you should. What I like most about doing photography and videography is, like I had said before, it's moments in time. And I think honestly, being able to capture some of my friends' first shows, I think that's my favorite. For instance, like Fight on Sight. Shout out Fight on Sight. I love them. Fuck yeah, they are doing special things. Being able to document their first show, and actually I think I've only ever missed one show of theirs, sadly. I was filming Rust in a different city, but they have grown so much. And I think one of the coolest things about them is I went to Ohio to shoot Brad, and I handed this girl who was like, yeah, Brad, female vocalist, very much into that, and that they were in a band too. And I was like, if you like female vocalists, you should check out Fight On Sight. I went to hand them the sticker, and they're like, I love them. I was like, this is Ohio, fuck yeah. And watching like their streaming plays go up, I'm so proud of them. Another one was like, I've seen a lot of bands, and then I recently shot Built on Blood. Shout out Built on Blood. Shout out Scum Collective, because they're part of Built on Blood. Other documenters in the scene. There's so many documenters. We won't even, I could shout out so many, and I'm missing so many. But like, I remember, this is probably another one, they started playing and my jaw dropped. I was just like, these are my friends? Fuck yes. I'm so proud of them. Like, just watching my friends do what they do and being able to document it or show them. Or there was like, I love things like, actually the drummer from Built on Blood, Christian, there was one point where somebody had shared it, I think it was Girls in the Pit. There was like, I always try to share Girls in the Pit, so Hillary and Smalls were just two-stepping, and then you see Christian stage dive, and Christian's like, I still hurt from that stage dive. And it's those things where like, you'd forget about that if you didn't like see it, and it just brings back a happy memory. And it's like core memories, so I love that. I think that's special. Another thing that I like is festivals. I think that being able to shoot festivals is super cool because you get to discover bands from different areas that you've maybe never heard of. You get to meet a bunch of people, especially if it's a local one. Or like shout out New Friends Fest. That is a 3-day festival that I like to call like emo summer camp. It's just a whole bunch of people who are friends from bands all around the world, and it's DIY. And it was the first show that made me last year that was like, I need to film. This is what I need to do, and I started filming. They were the first festival I started filming. That's when I really started diving right into filming full time, and I love them. I love that community, and that community, same with like Steel City, it's a community of building everybody up. And that's what I love about festivals and like things, like I said, Steel City. Things I dislike about being a photographer, videographer. So I'm just gonna like blurt out the technical stuff first. When I lose footage, it's happened. Sorry, Mile I had lost footage, got corrupted. Happens sometimes. So that's probably, or you know, if your gear is not working, you miss a part of a set, things like that. That's like all that. Things that it happens, it's part of the job. I actually kind of just have learned to accept that because it's just part of the nature of the job. There are things that you can't control. Things that I really dislike, honestly, for me, being female-bodied, it sucks a lot of the times. There's the boys club, no clit in the pit, like shit like that. I've had my rib fractured. Last year at Counterparts, I had my rib popped because some guy didn't think that I belonged front row, even though I was singing all the songs for all bands. So that kind of sucks. Or just like, however, the hardcore community, the local community, is not like that. They are very respectful of everybody, and that's why I'm always filming those shows. Those are my homies. Those are the people I care about most. Those are the people that make the things I dislike about filming worth it. That and just like watching the special moments. But there's things like, I've been to metal shows. I'm gonna say it because like I think it's important to be said. That I was filming one show, it was a metal show, and a guy came up to me, tried to name 5 bands, blah, blah, blah. When I wasn't going to give in to that, he then was like, oh, you must just be a groupie. And I was very nervous because there's a big show for me at the time, and like the promoter did a lot of shows for a lot of big bands, so I kind of just kept to myself. Same venue, same promoter, same metal, like another metal show down the line. There were 2 new female-bodied photographers who were learning, and I was talking to them and being like, always document. Like, sometimes like people will do different things, and everybody has different techniques. And I was just telling them my techniques, and I was like, just don't take time in between, just document, because you might miss a moment. Tip for you: always document. You never know when you're going to miss a moment that you could have got a photo of or video of. But this guy walked past us, and all three of us had our cameras in hand, and they made the sly comment of, "This must be the groupie corner." And I was done, because like, it's just myself, whatever. But there was two young, early 20s for female body photographers, like I said, and I turned around to this guy and I was like, "Don't you fucking dare say that to a female body photographer." He's like, "Whoa, whoa, don't." I was like, "No, stop. Don't you fucking dare say that. We're here documenting the show. We're not just here attending, being drunk. No offense to anybody who drinks. Like, we're not being belligerent." But like, this guy was being belligerent, and like, it was disrespectful for us, and it's things like that suck. And there is still like a boys club. That's another thing that I hate, that sometimes there's a boys club that makes it really hard to want to keep documenting. I know and have had this conversation with lots of other photographers too, that, you know, sometimes we're there filming every band, shooting every band. We drive out there, we drive home. So that's like, say for instance 10 for 10. That was an amazing show. Shout out Adam. Thank you so much for putting on that show. That was something special for our community. I was there from literally the pre-show, like before anybody got there, when everyone was loading in, till everybody left and they kicked everybody out. And I was filming 10 bands consistently. That's a lot. And there were so many other photographers and documenters there. And it's just one of the things where it's like, sometimes it sucks to not also be appreciated that when you are doing more work than one band is at the show. Because like, the band sells the merch and then they play their 15 to 20 minute set, and then that's it. It's fun. I know a lot of bands who like, they'll drink after, like, "I'm done my work," where I'm there, I have to run out quickly to have, like, if I go out and smoke, or fresh air, just especially hard luck, fresh air, you just need a moment, and I have to be like, run up, because I don't know when they start. So like, you're constantly working, and then you go home and it's not done. The show's not done. I have to edit the videos, I have to edit the photos. Photos take the longest. And I'm trigger happy, because that's how you get the shots, or at least I get the shots that I want. Every photographer is different. I also have a different technique, so I have to take more photos than others, because sometimes I miss a shot. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot more time than people think, and so it's one of the dislikes of it. However, all of the likes make up for it. The rewards make up for it. Getting to shoot my friends, open up for bigger bands, getting to shoot bigger bands, getting to have the opportunities that I get, make it worthwhile, all the dislikes.
Nice.
Favorite food. Well, I am a vegan, so I technically have 3 favorite foods. As any vegan loves French fries or potatoes, because that's our staple when we can't get anything anywhere else, so that's just kind of not really mentioned. But I love making sushi and ramen. They're my favorite. I make a mean, huge, hearty bowl of ramen, and I actually make sushi often. I love avocado sushi or sweet potato sushi. So yeah, that's what I eat. Useless talent. I have a lot of useful ones, so this was really hard for me. So this is mine, because it's useless. Yeah. That's all. Also want to say thank you, Steve, for having me on the show, and if you're not following their YouTube, go check it out. Stronger than ever. Thank you again.